Welcome, welcome. If you're tuning in, chances are you're maybe just dipping your toes into structured cabling, network design, that whole world.
Yeah.
Or perhaps you're thinking, okay, maybe it's time to tackle that RCDD certification.
Yeah.
Maybe you've even, clicked around the BICSI website and felt a little lost.
Yeah.
Like, where do I even start?
Yeah, that sounds familiar. It can seem a bit overwhelming at first glance.
Totally. Well, look, you've come to the right place.
Definitely. This deep dive, we're aiming it squarely at you. We want to sort of cut through all that complexity.
Yeah.
Give you a really clear step-by-step guide on how to get ready for the Registered Communications Distribution Designer exam. Think of us as, I don't know, your guides through that BICSI maze.
Love it. Okay, so our mission today, pretty simple, really.
Correct.
We want to demystify the whole process, give you the info and maybe the confidence boost you need to just kickstart your RCDD journey.
Exactly.
Now, just for anyone new, RCDD, that's Registered Communications Distribution Designer, it's a pretty big deal in our industry.
Oh, absolutely. Globally respected credential from BICSI.
And it basically proves, your stuff when it comes to designing telecom infrastructure.
Right. And that's a broad term, isn't it? We're talking cabling systems, obviously, but also data centers.
The nerve centers.
Yeah. And wireless networks, fiber optics, all the high-speed stuff, even down to the pathways and spaces, the conduits, the rooms.
The physical housing for it all.
It's the blueprint, the absolute blueprint for modern IT infrastructure.
And it's really key to understand this isn't just about installation, is it?
Not at all. It's about the planning, the design, overseeing the whole thing.
Yeah.
Getting that RCDD, it tells the industry, okay, this person is a designer.
A decision maker.
A decision maker, a leader. It carries weight.
Okay, so let's dig into that a bit more. Step one, really nailing down what this RCDD thing is.
Right. So, like we said, Registered Communications Distribution Designer, BICSI is the organization.
Got it.
And the scope, again, just to reiterate, because it's important, it covers designing, all that critical stuff, cabling systems, data centers,
Wireless, fiber.
pathways, spaces, the whole shebang.
So it really signifies expertise in planning, designing, and then overseeing these systems that, let's face it, everything runs on these days.
Absolutely. It's about that big picture thinking, planning for reliability, for future needs.
Not just what works today.
Exactly. Thinking ahead. And that RCDD title, it gives you serious professional recognition, credibility.
Positions you as that designer, that decision maker we talked about, the leader.
It shows you understand the standards, the best practices, and how to apply them effectively. That's incredibly valuable.
Okay, makes sense. So let's say someone's listening and thinking, all right, I'm interested. This sounds like something I want. What's the absolute next thing they need to do?
Good question. That brings us to step 2, checking eligibility. And this is crucial.
Yeah, you don't want to dive headfirst into study.
Right. And spend all that time, maybe money on materials, only to find out later you don't actually meet the requirements.
Ouch. Okay, so what are their requirements?
BICSI has laid out 2 main paths. The first path needs 2 years of ICT design experience that has to be verifiable.
So like actual design work, drawings, specs.
Exactly. Verifiable experience. And you also need an active, relevant ICT-related license or certification. So maybe a PE license or another industry cert.
Okay, 2 years design plus a related credential. What's the other path?
The second path is for folks who might not have that specific license or cert. It requires more hands-on time. At least 5 years of verifiable design experience in the ICT field.
5 years. Okay, so a fair bit more experience required if you don't have the other credential.
Precisely. It recognizes that deep practical experience.
Now, what if someone's listening and they're not quite sure if their specific job title or experience counts?
That's a really common question. And the best advice is simple. Contact BICSI directly.
Just ask them.
Yeah, absolutely. Their membership and certification folks are there to help. Don't guess. It's much better to get a clear answer up front before you invest too much.
Good advice. Ask first. Okay, so let's say you've checked, you qualify, you're good to go. What's step 3?
Step 3 is your first official piece of material, and it's free. You need to download the RCDD Candidate Handbook from the BICSI website.
The Candidate Handbook. Okay, why is this so important?
Think of it as your personal guidebook for this whole process. Seriously.
Your roadmap.
Your roadmap, exactly. It has everything you need to know about the exam, the structure, the policies, how the testing works, whether it's in a center or remote. And crucially, it outlines the main knowledge areas the exam covers, the domains, and how much weight each area carries.
So it tells you where to focus your study efforts.
Pretty much, yeah. It gives you the blueprint for your studies. And I really stress this. Read this handbook cover to cover before you buy any expensive study materials or sign up for courses.
You get the lay of the land first.
Get the lay of the land. Understand the big picture from BICSI's perspective. It's foundational.
Okay, handbook downloaded and read. Now we're getting into the meat of it. Step 4, the study materials.
Right. And here, there's one resource that is, well, it's king. The Telecommunications Distribution Methods Manual, the TDMM.
The TDMM. I've heard it called the Bible for this stuff.
That's not far off. It's huge, over 1,500 pages. Dense, technical.
Wow.
But here's the thing. BICSI uses the TDMM directly to write the exam questions. This is the source material.
Okay, so you absolutely have to engage with the TDMM. No getting around it.
No getting around it. But given how massive it is, just reading it passively might not be enough or the most efficient way for everyone.
Right. So what else helps?
Definitely supplement it. Things like flashcards are great for drilling terms and concepts.
Good for memory recall.
Exactly. Online practice exams are invaluable. They simulate the real thing, show you your weak spots. Study guides can give you a more condensed view. Training videos can help visualize complex stuff. And, if the budget stretches, formal prep courses offer structured learning.
Lots of options then, depending on your learning style and budget.
Yeah. But here's a key tip, regardless of what materials you use. Focus on active recall.
Active recall? What's that?
It's basically testing yourself instead of just reading and highlighting.
Which feels productive, but maybe isn't.
Often isn't as much as you think. Active recall means forcing your brain to retrieve the information. Quiz yourself. Try to explain a concept out loud to someone or even your cat.
Okay.
Teach it back. That process of retrieving and explaining, it cements the knowledge way better than just passive reading. Look up the Feynman technique, maybe. It's similar.
Explain it simply, like you're teaching a kid.
Exactly. If you can do that, you really understand it.
Okay, active recall. Good tip. So you've got your materials, you know how to study. But that TDMM is still massive. How do you actually tackle it? That sounds like step 5.
Step 5. Create a study schedule. And you really, really need one. This is not an exam you can cram for last minute.
Definitely not 1,500 plus pages worth of cramming.
No way.
Yeah.
You need a plan. Break down the TDMM, maybe chapter by chapter, or align it with those exam domains from the handbook.
Chunk it down.
Chunk it down into manageable weekly goals. That's the key.
How long should people plan for, roughly?
For most beginners or people needing a solid refresher, I'd say somewhere between 3 to 6 months is realistic. Gives you time to absorb it properly without, burning out. Of course, it depends on your starting point, how much time you can commit each week.
And that's the crucial part, isn't it? Fitting it into your life.
Absolutely. Build a schedule that works for you. Be honest about your time, even if it's just an hour a day, consistently.
That adds up.
It really adds up. Consistency beats sporadic cramming every single time.
Solid advice.
Yep.
Okay, schedule in place. What's step 6?
Step 6 is something people often overlook, especially if they're studying alone. Join a study community.
Don't go it alone.
Exactly. It can feel isolating, just you and the TDMM sometimes.
I bet.
But connecting with others on the same journey, or those who've already passed, it's incredibly valuable.
Where do you find these communities?
Well, BICSI itself has a global community, but also think online LinkedIn groups, Reddit subs.
Facebook groups.
Yeah, dedicated Facebook groups for BICSI certs, BICSI forums. People share tips, advice, practice questions.
And you get different perspectives, right? Someone might explain something in a way that just clicks for you.
Precisely. What seems baffling in the manual might make perfect sense when someone else explains it differently, maybe with a real-world example.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Plus, there's the accountability, the support, knowing you're not the only one struggling with, say, data center grounding or something.
Yeah. Misery loves company, but also shared learning.
Shared learning, exactly. You might find someone strong where you're weak and vice versa. It's really helpful.
Okay, community support, check. Now you've studied hard, you're hitting the practice exams well. It's time for step 7.
Step 7. Register for the exam. The moment of truth starts to feel real.
Exciting. And maybe a little nerve-wracking.
Definitely both. But yeah, you only really do this once you feel ready, based on that consistent study, and importantly, doing well on practice tests.
Don't jump the gun.
Don't jump the gun. Registration is done via the BICSI website. It's pretty straightforward. They'll guide you.
And you choose testing center or remote.
Usually, yes. You'll have options. Find a local Pearson VUE testing center or set up for online remote proctoring if you meet their requirements for setup and environment.
Gotcha. And the exam itself, what's the format again?
Right now, it's 100 multiple choice questions.
Okay.
And you get 2.5 hours to complete it. So about a minute and a half per question, roughly.
Good to know for pacing.
Crucial for pacing.
Right.
And one more thing on registration. Pay close attention to all the test policies.
Like what?
Like exactly what ID you need, rules about calculators if they're allowed, what kind of break policies, what you can and cannot bring into the testing area.
The small print matters.
The small print really matters here. Knowing all that stuff beforehand avoids any nasty surprises or stress on the day. You want to be focused purely on the questions.
Makes total sense. Get the logistics nailed down. Okay, registered, exam date is on the calendar. We're heading into the home stretch.
Yeah.
Step 8.
Step 8, the final countdown. This last couple of weeks.
Crunch time.
Sort of, but not for learning new stuff, ideally. This is about consolidation. Focus on your weak areas, plug any gaps.
More practice tests.
Definitely. Keep practicing under timed conditions. Get comfortable with that clock ticking.
Okay. What about the day before the exam? Any magic rituals?
Haha, no magic. But definitely some key advice. First, do not cram.
Resist the urge.
Resist the urge. An all-nighter will hurt more than help. Do a light review of keynotes, maybe some flashcards.
Keep it chill.
Keep it chill, get your gear ready, your ID, anything permitted. Most importantly, get a good night's sleep.
Rest the brain.
Rest the brain. And fuel it. Eat a decent meal. Don't go in hungry or running on caffeine fumes.
Calm nerves, be rested, be prepared physically and mentally.
That's the goal. Trust the months of work you've put in. You've done the heavy lifting. Now it's about performing.
Fantastic. So that really wraps up our step-by-step guide.
Yeah, hopefully that gives everyone listening a clear, beginner-friendly game plan for tackling the RCDD exam.
We've covered understanding the RCDD itself, checking if you're eligible,
Getting an all-important handbook, gathering your study materials like the TDMM,
making a realistic schedule, finding a study group or community,
registering for the exam, knowing the format and policies.
and finally, how to approach those crucial last few weeks and the day before.
It's a comprehensive path.
It is. And look, we get it. From standing here now, looking at that RCDD finish line, it can feel like a pretty big mountain to climb, maybe a bit daunting.
It can, absolutely. But just remember, every single RCDD out there, every expert you admire in this field.
They started right here.
They started right where you are, as a beginner, taking that first step, learning the ropes.
So the key is just steady progress.
Steady progress, break it down, celebrate the small wins along the way, and honestly believe you can do it. You can learn this stuff.
Great encouragement.
Huh.
Okay, before we wrap up, here's something for you, our listener, to maybe mull over.
Uh-huh.
As you've heard about all the different areas the RCDD covers, the cabling, data centers, wireless fiber pathways,
Mm-hmm.
which part of that whole network design world actually grabs your interest the most?
Ooh, interesting question.
Yeah, like what aspect makes you lean in a bit? Is it the complexity of data center design, the challenge of seamless wireless, the physics of fiber optics?
Or just the satisfaction of a really well-planned, structured cabling system.
Exactly. Think about what part really excites you,
Mm-hmm.
and then consider how getting your RCDD could be the key to letting you dive deeper, to specialize in that specific area you find most compelling.
Yeah, because it really does open doors, allowing you to focus your career path. It's a powerful tool for specializing.
Definitely something to think about as you start or continue your RCDD journey.